Welcome to New Game Plus. This is a retro gaming podcast where three guys spend 7 days playing one old game and then we talk about it. My name's Dustin.
My name is Kenny.
Chapped lip Nolan.
And this is episode 351, the first episode of season 8 of
Season
New Game Plus.
8? I like calling them seasons.
Yeah, but we're just now going to start that?
Yeah, we'll just start it. Who cares what we said in the past? I think we called them
New year,
years.
new season, new words.
Kenny's right.
Like what? What's the...
No, I mean, calling them seasons and
Okay.
not having chapstick. Like, it's fine.
Oh, I got chapstick. It just doesn't
He
help.
always does. He
Well,
shows
do
it to us
something
every
about it.
episode. Nice. For free?
Lip
So, last episode, episode 350, we celebrated our 7-year anniversary as a retro gaming podcast, and it was exquisite.
It was exquisite.
so fun. Not only was everybody a blast to hear from,
Yeah.
but we had really, really top-tier game suggestions, and it just a really great week.
I was
and
thinking-
that's all on our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, every game that was submitted was either like a banger or it would have been hilarious to play as a community. So it was like we couldn't lose. Like, anything that got picked would have been great.
Yeah, so many of you called in live and talked to us. That was so much fun. We spent hours talking with you. It was great. Some of you wrote in, which was super kind. We read those. Some of you left voicemails because you couldn't join us there live on the show.
Yeah.
Whatever way that you supported us and celebrated with us our 7-year anniversary, we are so grateful for that. You know, I've said it before, we've always been a community-centered podcast, which is a weird thing to consider because podcasts are often like you listen. You're a listener and you listen to,
Right.
but there's really no connection. But really, this is just a fragment of our day-to-day interactions via Discord and other means. And so it's always a pleasure to be able to talk with you all. So thank you for being a part of our 7-year
Thanks so much,
anniversary.
guys. Y'all did great.
Being a gamer in the 90s was so much fun. Not only did we have
Absolutely.
things like Game Sharks and Game Genies and memory cards and Rumble Packs, but we also had the best rumors.
Oh.
Yeah, internet wasn't as pervasive then as it is now.
Not even
And
close.
so all of our questions led to theories that spread like wildfire in the lunchroom, on the playground. And I thought I'd share 3 big rumors I was aware of to see if you had heard the same growing up.
Okay.
Okay.
Does your dad work at Nintendo?
No.
It's an uncle.
I don't
Somebody's
think-
uncle.
Yeah,
don't
someone's always like, my dad works at Nintendo.
yeah. I don't think any of these were true, but they were definitely rumors that many of us thought were factual.
Okay.
The first one was that there was a rumor that there was a way to obtain Mew in the first generation of Pokemon.
Absolutely.
and there
No,
is.
there is.
No, there's not.
There is. It's
There
huge.
absolutely is.
Mewtwo, you could get Mewtwo through a weird glitch, but you could not get Mew.
Yes, you
No,
can.
you just don't.
Quit
You just
shaking
don't
your
know
head.
how.
I'm telling you, you can.
There's
Kenny.
absolutely
I'm telling-
no way.
I'm telling you, you can as well, but only
can.
because I heard it, and I'm
Yeah.
At
sure
the
it's
playground.
true.
No, I've seen it. I've seen
Nope.
someone do it. It's
I knew
a
this
glitch.
was going to be problematic. It's
No,
not.
it's-
That's
Dude,
Mewtwo,
what do they
buddy.
call? What do they call
No.
this whole thing when you think
No.
you remember stuff and you're wrong?
Schweizenfrada.
That's not the right thing.
I'm
but
telling
you're
you,
right.
Mew data is in the game, and
Yes.
you can get Mew.
The rumor was in Vermilion City, near the ship SS Anne, there was a ledge that players could access using surf. And then there was a truck on that ledge, which was mysterious. And I think it loaded the truck in slightly different positions and places on that little island. So it led people to believe that you could like use HM strength or something along those lines to be able to pull up the truck and get Mew. I distinctly remember that rumor, tried it many times. Obviously, it's not true.
I like the theory crafting, but he is in the game, and that's not how you get him.
All right. Second rumor was that Luigi could be unlocked in Super Mario 64.
Oh my goodness, that'd be so funny.
That'd be the best. I don't know if I ever heard that one though.
Okay,
I
so
think I have heard that one.
obviously Luigi had been in many Mario games up until that point, and so it was reasonable to believe that Luigi would also
It's
be
kind
in
of
this
weird
one.
he's not. Yeah.
It's kind of weird he's
Yeah.
not.
It is weird.
Now, like you're claiming and convinced that there's Mew data in the original Pokemon games, there was some Luigi data in here, so maybe there was a thought at some point Luigi was going to be in the game, but at the time we couldn't scrape it like we could now.
Wasn't Yoshi on the top of the castle?
Yeah, there was a way to get Yoshi at the top of the castle,
Yeah.
so that was true.
That's
that
cool.
rumor was true. But this one revolved around a fountain in the courtyard behind Peach's castle, because at the fountain was a statue, and underneath it had had pixelated text, and some people thought it said "L is real 2401." And fans speculated that you had to collect 2,401 coins and go to that fountain and access Luigi.
They're wrong. 2401 is the year that they released the patch.
Luigi bursts out of the fountain.
Yeah.
There's one of these that I hope you bring up that if you don't, I'm going to, because I fell for one hard back in the day.
I'll give you one more, and if it's not it, which it might be it, then
It
you
should
can
be.
share
It's
yours.
so iconic.
There was a rumor that there was a way to resurrect Aerith in Final Fantasy VII. That's not what you're going
Really?
That's not what I was
People
going
Yeah.
were just hopeful.
Oh, of course.
Come on.
And so the rumors were, they stretch different ways, like from being mean to Tifa every opportunity you got and never using her in your party.
That's pretty
Which
good.
would then bring her back. Or I also heard that you could level up one of your cure materia to a certain level, go to the spot where she was laid to rest, use that restore materia there, and bring her back to life. Neither, of course, were true.
Simps, man. She's dead. Get over it. Get wrecked.
The one that got me a lot was I spent a lot of time clicking cows in the original Diablo.
Oh.
in
To get to the
various
cow level?
ways,
There is
that's
no
true.
cow
trying to
level.
get to the secret cow level.
I think
There
there
is no
is a
cow
cow
level.
level.
There is no
there
cow
is
level.
no cow level in Diablo 1.
And there is
Yeah,
no cow level in
Later,
Diablo 2.
later
what
they
these
joke
rumors
about
are
it
doing.
and put cow levels in a bunch of stuff, and it became a whole meme. But I literally remember playing Diablo 1, all the things, duping, the whole business, and spending so much time following guides and like trying to do stuff to get it. It doesn't exist.
Wart's leg, baby.
Unfortunately, rumors like these no longer come to us at Mach speed in 2022. They have slowed down considerably. Both of those were references to our retro game of the week.
We know.
We know how it works.
I don't know.
We've
I'm
been here
just-
8 seasons, 7 seasons.
Well, I'm just joking, Joe. Like in our retro game of the week, season 8, Viewtiful Joe.
Overview.
Viewtiful Joe came out in the year 2003 for the GameCube, later ported for the PlayStation 2. And Cecil, who submitted it live to us last week, submitted this game. It got picked, called it a spectacle fighter, which I think is a great terminology for this game and other games like it.
Yeah, I've never heard that.
What a good description.
Yeah, so Devil May Cry
Sure, yeah,
would
definitely.
be another spectacle fighter, and there are probably other, but like a subgenre of the side-scrolling beat 'em
It's
up,
like flashy, like, yeah.
flashy and graded. You know, like how after encounters they're graded. That's not all beat 'em ups, but it
Sure.
is this game at least. And it was developed and published by Capcom, but that is a little bit too
Goats.
broad because it was developed by an elite group of Capcom employees at the time that called themselves Team Viewtiful and later became Clover Studio. It's now defunct or brought back into Capcom at large, but it
Oh.
was so cool that this started as a project by like 6 or 7 of their R&D developers that branched off and said, let's do something good, quality, and creative here.
I really, really like that. It was like a rogue team within Capcom, and they were like, yeah, y'all do whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And you don't want that to happen because I love the freedom there. You don't want that to happen and then it flop and fail, which thankfully it didn't. This was successful. And so they got to make some other ones with that. But it's
But it
always
was
cool,
risky.
like, absolutely risky.
I think that this was definitely risky for them to make, knowing that now.
Yeah, and so it's the same developers. Like that little squad also created Okami and God Hand.
Makes sense. I'm familiar with Okami, not
Okami,
God
for
Hand,
sure.
but
Same.
definitely see the familiarity there.
Yeah. It was submitted by, like I said, our friend Cecil. So for those of you that haven't listened to our anniversary episode yet, we had all of our listeners, friends, viewers, patrons, everybody call in live and talk to us and pitch their game. Cecil was one of those called in, has been submitting Viewtiful Joe in Patreon pools for a while now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and
That's fun.
finally got the game selected. Yeah. Viewtiful Joe starts with, really has a lot of story for beat 'em ups, for a beat 'em up game, I would suggest, and starts inappropriately.
Off-screen action, huh?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I want me some off-screen action.
Immediately you choose kid or adult, and I thought, until I looked into it later, that this was related to the opening scenes and the content, but it's not. That's just about the difficulty level. Regardless of if you're a kid or adult, you're going to get sexy time.
Oh, I thought that it was precisely what that was for. They would cut that out for kid
difficulty level.
No, it's just difficulty level. No, the content's all exactly the same.
Oh, no.
You are Joe, and Joe's your average moviegoer, but his girlfriend is promiscuous. And so she, due to her promiscuity, she is kidnapped by the film's villain. No, it's specifically...
Victim blame much?
Joe,
she did nothing wrong.
Joe said no!
I mean, he was...
Don't encourage that behavior!
Yes,
she did nothing to justify being ripped out of her reality into a movie by a giant mech.
Well, someone's got to stop her.
So the movie comes alive and is like, not on my watch.
I mean, that's pretty much.
Get terror. Get the thought.
Joe is subsequently thrust into movie land, and
don't put emphasis on the
stop. You're not going to continue. You're not going to continue. Stop.
In movie land, he accepts a V-Watch from his favorite superhero, Captain Blue. By the way, this is absurd, right?
Oh,
it's
yeah,
so
I've got here that the story setup is ... something, because I don't know what else to say.
It is something.
Bonkers is the word I use.
Well, it's
absolutely insane.
It is in line with the origin of this style, which is called tokusatsu. Mm-hmm. And to Western audiences, that just means Power Rangers. So Power Rangers was also ludicrous. I mean, the enemies are like bears that talk and they're pink. So it's just like really outlandish, like Japanese style hero stuff.
And so he's pulled into the movie, meets Captain Blue, his superhero that has his belly button out. I noticed that.
It makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I called it an Audi.
It's an Audi. It looks like a balloon. You know the end of a balloon when you tie it and have that's what it looks like. Yeah. I hated it. But Joe is then transformed into what will become Viewtiful Joe. He doesn't know what a superhero name is for the longest time, but he embarks on a mission to rescue his overly excited handsy girlfriend.
To me, it felt like side-scrolling beat-em-ups were kind of fading out at the time. Or, I mean, especially on this console.
2D, for sure, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
This is 2003.
Yeah, nobody was doing anything 2D anymore.
Right, and it's like the cell shading thing was also very new, which is kind of, both of those things is why I said that this is a risky project for them, for that team. I mean, this came out very close to Wind Waker, which was cell shading and a huge success, but... I'm wondering if that was like, I don't know, the new popular graphic style that they wanted to implement, but
Hinshina go baby.
What does he say? Hinshina?
Hinshin a go.
Right.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Hinshin is the Japanese word for transform.
Oh, well.
It's American.
So he's just...
he's a fan.
Saying transform, and then he's like...
Oh, he's a weeb.
Because he's a young, cool guy. Yeah.
This is a weeb game.
Yeah, he's a weeb.
It is... Oh, well, yeah, Joe, of course. But it's funny because I think Captain Blue teaches him that. He gives him that V-Watch, and he says, just say Hinshin, or whatever. And he's like... And he makes it his own.
Hinshin
and does like a Hinshin a go baby. But it works.
Gameplay.
Where do we even start?
Press start.
There's so much going on here. I guess transformation, VFX, powers.
Well, hold on.
I guess I think we should start with the So we call it the what?
Similarities to other beat 'em ups.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say, because it's called
Sure.
a side-scrolling beat 'em up, and to a lot of people that means Streets of Rage, and that's so. Okay, after watching Dustin's first play, I expected a button masher, which is what you typically get with the genre. I wasn't wrong, but I also was. The controls are easy to adapt to at the gate if you're familiar with that style. Think Streets of Rage, yes, where you just punch and go, but you're locked on a plane rather than having to manage several. Does that make sense to y'all? Where like you usually have to like go up and there can be enemies on different planes.
It's straight 2D here.
It's just straight up locked onto a 2D plane, which I really liked. I don't like that about beat 'em ups, having to like not know if I'm gonna punch, if this punch is gonna connect with an enemy because it's in a different lane.
That's a fair point. Anytime you come into contact with an enemy, the only thing you need to worry about is like verticality, not the
or proximity.
Yeah, or proximity. But you're not having to deal with, what is that? The Z axis?
Yeah, I guess
you're not having to worry about any of that. So
There's
like
no
other side-scrolling beat 'em ups, similar. You're controlling a character. You're moving along a fixed 2D path. You're doing some light platforming throughout, defeating groups of enemies, and you're getting to the end of the stage and unlocking it in a whatever way. Sometimes you're defeating a boss, sometimes you're getting a key, sometimes you're defeating a certain amount of enemies, but progressing
a little bit of puzzling as well.
Yeah,
but that's kind of just sort of icing on the platforming cake. You know, they just sort of make you figure a couple of things out.
It's
simple, definitely not the like main mechanic.
Yeah, I almost hesitate to even. I mean, we should point it out. I just, you know how some people are like beat 'em up puzzler. You know, like no way, I wouldn't put puzzler in the name of the genre.
No, I wouldn't either.
Well, and going back to where Kenny wanted to start with the thing that is most different, are the VFX. Those are, so not only do you have jump, punch, and kick, but you have this special ability, really these special 3 abilities that you get over the course of the first couple stages that allow you to manipulate time, pretty much. And so you use those in battle, but you also use those in the stage to solve puzzles in order to progress further. They are light puzzles, but that is something unique from the typical beat 'em up.
That is not in any other beat 'em up I know of, like the Turtles games, you know, Streets of Rage, whatever.
Right. Other than like the stylistic choices, I think VFX is what sets this apart from other beat 'em ups.
Yes, that's the big one. And I guess we can like stay on VFX for a second.
Yeah.
The thing that took me a minute to get used to with this mechanic, it is the main important mechanic, and I guess I'm used to fighters where you have a super meter and you build that meter by taking damage, by punching, and then you're rewarded at the end with your super. This one's like similar. It's just different. Like it's just backwards almost. Like you are trying to maintain it because you are your most powerful when it is full, right? And I think the game is pretty generous about giving you pickups to refill it. What are they? The vials.
Those blue vials, yeah.
The potions. And so you manage it, but it depletes. And so it's just a different approach to that meter mechanic that took me a minute to enjoy even.
It becomes the primary mechanic of this game, though. If you're playing the game as intended, or effectively at all, you are using your VFX constantly.
Yeah.
And trying to chain your attacks and ramp up your score and a bunch of other things that we have to talk about because they have in-game implications as well. But this is not like the occasional bonus. This is the meat and potatoes of what you're doing. And the mechanic is more do it effectively so that you can sustain it rather than like use it or don't use it. And Dustin, I saw you in the first play trying to sort of figure out and come to grips with the fact that, oh, this is really strong, but I'm still supposed to use it all the time. Like that's how this game works.
And
that's what took me a minute.
Right, same. Yes. Once you realize that, there's a switch, because this is a game where I felt so lost near the beginning because it's not just jump, kick, and punch. If you do that, you're going to lose. You might be able to get through the first wave of enemies and stuff, but using that in tandem with your dodge and then your VFX changes the game tremendously. And so, yes, Kenny, what you said, once I started to realize that, oh, this game is meant to be played in VFX mode. I mean, you want to be in that as much as possible. I started to feel better and better throughout the week, and to where I started to get very capable because if you manage those VFX well, you become a freaking superhero.
The
You
game
absolutely do.
What helped me finally understand it is that the game wants you to play at 100% all the time, and you're trying to maintain 100%. If you dip below it, you need to work towards getting back to full on 100% because I'm used to saving my special or big hit for efficiency. But this one's just like, no, that's who you are. You are Joe at 100%. Beautiful Joe. And so it just took a minute. I like it. But what you mentioned there, Dustin, about the dodge mechanic, I love in this, and it is another thing that sets it apart from other beat 'em ups. In other beat 'em ups, I'm button mashing, literally, and you win, and that is how you win. Maybe there's some blocking, maybe. In this one, the dodge mechanic is so vital, and it reminded me of fighting games, and I love fighting games because when you dodge, you are allowing yourself to then attack and capitalize, so it stuns them for a second. When you successfully dodge. And so rather than dashing to an enemy and start mashing, I'm looking at their patterns and I'm looking for the moment. And when you get it, like you duck or you jump, and then you get to go in your matrix mode, it's it's a very satisfying gameplay flow. I like once you master that, it feels really good.
So he says Matrix mode,
Yeah.
But what he's really talking about is the first VFX that you learn,
Right.
which is a slowdown.
Yeah.
And so you hit this button, and it's toggleable. In fact, all of these are toggleable moves that you can mix and match and even use at the same time, as we talk about other VFX, which is crazy. So each of these things can be activated or unactivated, like on top of and mixed with each other. Already wild. But this one, you hold it down, everything slows down, so you have more time to see where the enemies are hitting, to adapt to what they're doing, to dodge an attack, to move in closer and hit them in just the right spot, and everything you do gets sort of multiplied in how effective it is. And so it's literally like a Matrix mode. That's a great way of describing it.
Well, I mean, I even called it that because at the time Matrix was like super hot, and also the theme of this game is movies, and so it like totally like takes over the screen, kind of zooms you in on your character, and you just get to like be sick for a little bit, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
Don't say zoom.
Don't say
because
zoom.
That's a different ability. So we talked about slow. That's the first thing. The second thing you get is Mach speed, which is a speed up. It's the opposite, and it speeds everything up. And you don't. I don't use it tons, but you do have to use it to solve some puzzles, and it causes your character to catch on fire, which allows you to light certain things at certain parts in the game. It allows you to like supercharge certain machines you're on and different things like that. So that's the second one, and then the third and final thing that you finally get is called zoom in, and I think it just increases your attack power, but also the damage that's being done to you. And it changes your kick to this like AoE kick where it kicks everybody around in like a punch to an AoE thing. But that accompanied with zoom makes you so strong.
So strong, and it's a satisfying like it's not just progression, like I'm getting through the stage. I was looking forward to each fight. And those are trash enemies. Like, you're not supposed to care about those fights.
That's so good. In most beat 'em ups, it's about getting through the stage. In this beat 'em up, it's getting through the stage in style, which is a totally different kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were y'all V all week? Were y'all V?
No.
Oh, not all week.
Occasionally.
But no, I started getting
V
there.
often.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. Oh, so he's talking about the rank at the end of really each encounter. You get a rank based on 3 different things. It's based on I don't know, time, defense, and how many V points you get.
Yeah, it's highly tied to V points, and I believe dodging actually, like stuns play a big part in your rating.
And so and those 3 combined, you get a letter grade, and they go anywhere from, I think, A is awesome, B is bad. Right away, B is bad, which I don't like. C is crappy. I don't even remember what D was because I'm not that bad. But then V, if you get it enough, it's beautiful, and it's
You
It looks
you
good.
want V's. I do believe Garlow added
Discord?
an emote or an emoji rather for our server that is
That's
just a
perfect.
V for something that's sick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. When a good comment is there, I'm throwing the
I'm
rainbow
V'ing it.
V on it
Yeah.
now.
I'm dropping the V too. Yeah.
I don't
So
like
good.
I don't like V'ing it and dropping the V, so we can change our terminology there. But
I'm a slap the V.
We'll still work on it. We'll workshop it.
Okay.
We'll
Alright.
workshop it.
We're not going German.
We're not German.
No.
9. All right. Bosses.
Yeah.
Can we talk bosses?
Yeah.
Specifically the helicopter boss, which is the hardest
my
thing in the
goodness.
world. At least the first time you fight him.
I didn't have a hard time with the helicopter boss.
I'm not.
He's just saying it's crazy.
You're much better than me. Than the first time I played him. By the way, Kenny, you played kids, right?
Yeah. Which might explain why things were easier, but that should be a given. But of course, 100%
I mean, that's a big
played kids.
difference.
I did
And then-
not play kids.
Oh, you
mode.
stayed adults?
Yes.
So I started adult, and the game was too hard for me. I think now
pretty
that
hard.
I've got a better grasp on it, I could do better. But I went back and started with kid mode when I realized that wasn't about content; it was about difficulty. And I was able to take the helicopter pretty handily the second time I fought him. But the first time, helicopter's a he. The first time I fought the helicopter, dude, no, I did so bad.
I mean, it's already a no from me that you are a person, a kid fighting a helicopter. I mean, it's chaos. That fight is
It works in this game.
great. It does work. No, I love that boss fight though.
The
As
amazing
in
thing-
like in theory, that's such a good fight.
Can we talk about the fact that this game gives you ways of handling projectiles? Because
Yeah.
no game ever
I was about
does
to
that
say
ever.
The amazing thing is, if you're not in your VFX mode, your slow mode, you don't even see the gunshot, the bullets that are coming out of
Right, because they're coming too fast.
Yeah, they're too fast.
It's realistic.
And so the first time I fought him was before I realized the switch happened in my mind where you have to stay in VFX mode. And so once I realized that and go into slow mode, you see the bullets, they're coming at you, and you can uppercut them, turning their direction back at the helicopter. Or
The dodge, dude.
Nolan.
Another
So
Matrix thing, dude. It's so good.
if you're out of VFX mode, you have to click a button or you have to press up or down on the
Yes.
controller to dodge. If you're in VFX slow mode, he'll automatically dodge anything that comes his way in an
So good.
incredibly cinematic manner. And he does that through the propellers, and it's so good.
That fight was that fight was crazy. I think the boss fights in general were all like ludicrous, as they should have been.
Over the top.
Over the top, but so funny and like different. I didn't want to fight just one like action hero style guy each time, and I thought maybe that's what we get after fighting maybe the first one. But no, then you fight a freaking helicopter later. So then you're like, okay. All right.
I loved the character of the bosses. There were a few times that I was like, okay, we could have been a little bit more creative for, like you fight a helicopter and then later you fight two helicopters. Yeah, there were moments that I was like,
That's
you guys
funny,
could have
though.
done a little bit
But
more.
Kenny, that's interspersed with Hulk Davidson and like a fish.
And I'm already telling you, I love the character of the bosses. There was a little bit of variety here. I wish that the fights themselves could have felt even more different. But it's a little nitpick. They're fun. They're certainly challenging. You definitely have to use the right skills in the right circumstances and like avoid, certain moves from each boss. So like, it wasn't like bosses were poorly done and a lot of fun.
I feel like some of them were not direct homage to comic book characters, but like one of them's like straight up Bane, like from Batman, and there's a lot of comic book-y stuff going on that I'm sure we'll talk about later in this game, and so I did like that part too, that some of it felt familiar in that sense. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe I should have said at the beginning, I'm sure we'll talk about it more in age, but it feels weird to get this far in and not talk about, like, we talked about the movie aspects of these things, but it's really movie combined with comics that give you not only the visuals, but really, I mean, it feels like you're playing in a comic in a movie.
It's the only other game that I can relate the feeling of like how they pulled off the gameplay is Comic Zone, which is straight up
which you're playing in a comic.
But this one is that same cut. Like it's got the same feel to it, and I really enjoy it.
What was your favorite VFX?
The first one.
Slow down?
Whole time.
Yeah, I'm glad they give it to you first.
Yeah, me too. Like that's clearly the best one. I love it so much.
I think it was mine too. I was very glad they gave you the zoom in stuff, and that those had a couple of options in them. You know, it added a little bit more variety, and you needed some of that. And it gave you specific tools to like handle some situations. But for sure, just the slowdown is the most fun. That hold it and go to town is everything for me.
I agree. Can I tell you all, this isn't going to surprise you. I found online a cheat this week. In game, you can manipulate it, and so there's a.
Can you get me?
There's a few times throughout, but the first time I think is in a sewer, and you get these two pylons, and your goal is to slow down, zoom in, kick, so you do the roundhouse thing and charge them up at the same time. And when they charge up, it opens up the entrance to a secret room or something like that. But if you offset them so you stand closer to one than the other, you just continue to rack up V points. So I was able to get as many V points as I needed, tens of thousands, because in between stages you're able to spend those on
You're
upgrades.
A cheater.
Shame on you.
It's
You're
in game.
A big cheater.
In game. It's just in game manipulation. It would be just like playing a stage over and over and over and over again and dying before you get to the end.
That's not how things work.
Oh, absolutely, it is
Fists
for me.
work in life, and you're not supposed to punch people in the face.
And
like,
so I use those V points in between stages to upgrade characters, which you don't always have in beat 'em ups either. So like you can get a few new abilities. You can slow down the rate of your bar decreasing.
Huge.
So you feel like a superpower once you start getting these abilities, but once you start spending V points right, you feel like a superhero.
Yeah, it's so nice. And that little break in between where you have to choose, do I want to add new abilities, or do I need to refill my life? Do I need to give myself a bigger life bar? Is it actually going to help me more to buy a continue than it is to... You've got choices, and you have to think about what you're doing, and that feels so... Like, it adds some personalization and some replayability here, where as long as you don't just cheat and break and buy everything, you've got reasons to, like, try hard. Because it'd be easy in these to not worry about chaining your skills. Like, I'm just going to get through the game. Yeah. But if you can get through it and get through it better, it's not just like you're getting props. There's a reason for your props. You're getting rewarded. And I love that.
The other thing about going in between the levels and having that moment of decision, I really like here that this is not some like open world kind of game, or there's no like even map that you're having to like traverse. It's just stages, and I miss that. And even in 2003, I feel like the gaming industry was getting away from traditional like linear style progression, and trying to do those weird like open world things. I mean, Wind Waker I love, but it's open world, and that's like the new thing. And so it was refreshing to just kind of have it handed to you.
Aged.
The graphics are the loudest, and we have to talk about it first.
The loudest. I think that's good.
Yeah. So we've mentioned movie, we've mentioned comic book, and we've mentioned cell shading. And to me, I missed this game when it came out. Almost intentionally. I didn't like the way it looked. Not that I thought the graphics were bad. They did a good job with them. I don't know. Something about the style of the game, I was like, I don't want to play that. Having played it now, I'm so impressed at how much it feels like a comic book. And it's a game, though. And not just the cutscenes. The in-game fighting and the constant zooming in and out and all over the screen looks fantastic.
Yeah. Well, and
looks amazing.
Joe will pose at certain points.
Yes.
Like there's even an ability that will pose and damage everything on the every element was crafted to make it feel and look comic book.
And if you play this game with us, or you decide after hearing this, you'll even see in the first stage what I'm talking about. But there are so many moments when you're going along the plane and you'll get to a corner and the camera goes like this, and you see where you just came from, but it's 2D, but it's 3D. It's so good, man. It's so very good.
impressive. And they'll like zoom the camera back and let you jump extra high to give you that
the down angle up is rare. I've never seen that. That
Yeah,
looked
where
really
you've got
weird at
stuff
first.
you could find up there, and just they did really cool things with the sort of cinematography feel of it and the comic book feel of it, and combining those two and making it part of the experience, not just like a decision they made and stuck with it.
Yeah.
Like they really leaned in.
Let me throw this out. You can tell me I'm wrong if you think so. But another game other than Comics Zone that it caused me to think about this week was Cuphead.
Oh, for
It
sure.
is a different kind of art style for sure, but it's got a same like stylistic bent of.
Yep.
I mean, even Cuphead has a grain filter over it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if every stage here does, but at least at the beginning, you've got a grainy filter over as if you're going into the movie, and like it feels very stylistic.
Well, both of those games, well, let's say all three of those games, take a video game and put them into a different environment. So for Cuphead, it's a 1930s black and white film, like cartoon, which is like no one. If you would tell me that there's a game like that, I'd be like, no, there's not. No one could pull that off correctly. But that game straight up feels like you are in front of an old TV watching this, but you're playing it. Like, it just gives you control in an environment that's not natural for gaming. And that's what this does too.
It's a spectacle. We said spectacle fighter at the beginning, and spectacle in every way, in the way that you battle, but also in what you're looking at.
Everything. The graphics, like, not just are loud, but they're big and they move, and the UI is huge. Like, it doesn't take up too much of the screen, but your V meter is like a chunk of your space, and everything is sort of big and in your face, but on purpose. And it's not annoying or offensive. It's just like loud and celebratory.
Also, I don't know how we haven't mentioned this, but when you do the VFX, it does like movie film, like at the actual pieces of film that go through the reel.
And bottom.
On the top and bottom, it's like scrolling, so it looks like frames of the film. It's good. It's really creative, man.
And honestly, I think the visual was even more standoutish than the music. I think the music is fine, but
Definitely.
The music's good, and it fits. But I don't know if it's something like none of the tracks were memorable to me.
Same. I was looking for that, but you don't need it.
Yeah.
I'd go one further and say the music is great.
Sure.
But it's not like a hook kind of melody. It's not something you're going to walk away singing. It fits the game perfectly. It's really, really, really well done. But I will agree, you don't notice it as much because it gets lost in everything else that's going on.
Sure.
Like, not only is there music, but there's sound effects that are always happening and could feel too much.
Great.
And except for the bomb threatening to go off, never actually
Over and
worked too
over
much.
again?
Yeah, that one was a little too heavy-handed. But like, well done. And so I'm going to say the music is great. It just doesn't even take center stage because there's so many other things going on here that like all together just make for this wild ride.
And I won't give games that pass often. If the music is fine, but like I needed more, I'll say, like, even if the graphics are great, but in this case it's just they knew that it didn't need to be Chrono Trigger OST level. Like, it's not, you're an action hero, and I don't care about action music.
Yeah, give us action music.
Yeah.
Make it non-invasive or so I agree.
Voice acting we did get though for bosses, and that was so fun.
Bosses were so fun, although I don't know if it's my bad ear that's NGP lore, or if it was a bad mix or what, but the like some of the bosses I couldn't even hear their dialogue, especially the bat boss. They had a filter over the voice. I had no idea what it was saying, and that sucks. But
same. I didn't even know what Joe said when he said something a go-go.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. So
I love the voice acting. Think its quality, especially the narrator in between. It's like, find out on the next episode of. It sounds so iconic and good. But yeah, some of the mixing I think could have been better there.
Yeah.
I had mentioned that it was ported from the GameCube to the PlayStation 2 and in 2004, and I thought that it was interesting because I believe they added an even easier difficulty level. I don't know what they called it, but Kenny, there you go. Oh, you don't like it?
I think sweet or sweets or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But they also added a new unlockable character. You can unlock Dante from Devil May Cry and play it in the game.
That's cool. I do have a problem with that port, though. To me, this is so exclusively GameCube.
Like made for the controller.
Yes. I would never play this not on the GameCube. I didn't know that.
And you're not the only one who felt that way, I don't think.
Oh,
because the PlayStation port did not do very well, whereas the GameCube
surprised.
port was mildly successful. The
original.
It was the version on PlayStation didn't do as well. I think they did some different things graphically too that made it not look quite as good on that format.
Yeah.
Wow.
It also spawned a series. So there's Viewtiful Joe. There's Viewtiful Joe 2 that came out in 2004. And then there's Red Hot Rumble and Double Trouble that came out in 2005. And
then it died?
And somehow, Viewtiful Joe was never a playable character in Super Smash Bros. I don't know why.
Yeah, that would
have been a great thing.
He did get pulled into some multicast games though, not Smash Brothers, but he got his way into some of the like Marvel vs. Capcom games.
Huh. But dude, he's such a Smash character.
Yeah,
already.
He already has a set of things.
Double jump. You don't have to change any of his moves. Oh my goodness. Come on now.
I know we already got to get out of gameplay, but can we talk about like the fact that they just didn't ever stop? There's shoot 'em up parts of this game.
like space shooter or like sky shooters.
You got jets and mechs and superheroes.
That's what you
like
get.
Everything in the whole world.
That's what you get when you have a team of elite specialists from Capcom. They're like, hey, I'm a shoot 'em up guy. Can we do a level?
Can we have
and they're like, yes. Yes, we can.
There's also an anime that spawned from the video game series. It's titled Viewtiful Joe, and it aired from 2004 to 2005, and a manga series was published in V-Jump magazine. So, I mean, there's media that came from
Golly.
that group of, that elite group of developers created something that had some legs, at least for a few years.
The Power Rangers.
If you want a copy for your GameCube today, it's only $22 used, but it is $135 new.
I expected way worse. Way worse.
I expected more.
Final thoughts.
At the end of each and every one of our episodes, we determine whether or not the game gets our vote for New Game Plus status, which is our general thumbs up or thumbs down. It does require 2/3 of the vote to swing one way or the other. One way or the other. That's a song, and we're in DSC. I will go ahead and say, I think we can just go straight across the board here. Viewtiful Joe is beautiful, and it is difficult especially if you do not learn how crucial VFX are and how to use them well. But I'll tell you this, once I started mastering that system, it started feeling good. And I imagine this is one of those games where if you get really good at that, it feels so good. Like you feel elite going through here. I started to feel some of that, but I'll never get there. But when I started slowing and zooming in and started punching things for half of their health bar, man, like that made the bosses so much easier, made the game so much more enjoyable. And using those VFX in tandem with each other and knowing when to use them, the simple but good puzzles that were throughout added another layer there to change up the monotony. And even when things start to get monotonous, you're in a plane shooting down other things. It's just there's so much here to enjoy, and if for no other reason, you should play it for the mere spectacle. So I definitely give Viewtiful Joe my vote for New Game Plus status. Kenny.
Yes. Yes. Easy yes. This game is absolutely nuts. It's bonkers. It's too much, but in all of the best ways. I was really worried early in the week when people were talking about this game and describing it that it was going to be like, you know how we run into some games that are like too Japanese? I don't...
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Racist,
we don't agree with your racism, but go ahead.
Just like stylistically, sometimes stuff is over the top, but not in a way that's appealing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Or that like appeals to me as not, I'm not a weeb, is what I'm saying. And so I was worried. Nolan, you said it. Dustin, you were more offensive earlier.
You're canceled, dude.
I know I'm canceled, but like this game isn't too much in the bad ways. It's too much in every good way. It's the
good.
right amount, and it's
too
so
much.
many. And I don't even know what else to say because we've said a lot, and already it's been glowing. But like, such a fun game. Easiest New Game Plus I've had in a long time.
Whoa.
This is not a weeb game. You play a weeb, and this is how they view themselves, or this is what they want, right?
Yeah, totally
So,
agree.
That's, first of all, that's really funny. Now, I agree with everything else said. If this would have been a button masher like I expected, and like it could have been, if they just would have gone like straight up brawler style and didn't look more in depth at the VFX mechanic, I wouldn't have had as much fun at all. But the fact that there's actual depth here, and like Dustin said, if you spend time with it and slowly master it, the reward and the payoff you get is better and higher and feels good. So I am upset that I didn't play this game back when it came out. I had a GameCube. I could have had this game, and I didn't. I chose not to. I'm a fool. It's so good. It's so good and unique. It's really good. NGP.
NGV, really.
Which means that is unanimous. The very first game of Season 8 of New Game Plus is New Game Plus certified. But what did you think? 51% on YouTube said yes, it's worth playing today. I think a record low of 2% said no, go play something
That
else.
is record, I think.
Wow.
I don't think we've
That's probably
ever had
one
2%. And 47% have never played it before.
Okay, I was the 47.
2%.
I was too, but I'm glad I'm the 51 now.
We had many of you write in. I wish that we could include all of your thoughts every week on the game of the week, but at least you can share in our commentary or email us at ngppodcast@gmail.com. We will read that. Our listeners and everyone will be able to read those, but I'll read a few of them now live here on the air. Lyrica said, Viewtiful Joe is a game I have fond memories of. I remember this coming out as a part of the Capcom 5 exclusives for the GameCube, most of which were eventually ported elsewhere. This game, in particular, is a mix of platformer and brawler. The VFX are very well done and enhance the combat well. The bosses are quite unique, requiring the use of all of your abilities. I ended up playing the PS2 version on kids difficulty since that was easiest for me to play and gave me the chance to get as much playtime in before leaving for my Vegas wedding.
Wow.
Congrats.
Did you do the Elvis thing?
I love that that Lyrica got Viewtiful Joe in as a part of the wedding week.
That's so funny.
Personally, I think this game deserves NGP, and I hope to pick it back up after I get home next week. Henshin a go, baby.
Oh my goodness. Again, this feels so GameCube to me. It doesn't deserve to be on another console. Or other consoles don't deserve it. Like this is a GameCube game. This is a GameCube game forever.
That's coming from Nintendo Boy over there.
Well, yeah, but look at it. This is not a PS2 game.
I agree. And I'm glad that I said Viewtiful Joe could be a part of your wedding week. Kenny's wedding week had Final Fantasy? What was it, Kenny? One
was
as a part of
I
your
think
wedding
so.
week. As a part of your wedding day. All right.
Oh my God, we recorded?
Boot
Yeah,
Duke.
I got up and recorded an episode.
What's wrong with you? I can't believe
Guys,
that.
that's how committed we are to you, and that was early. All right, Boot Duke said, I can easily remember when I was over at a friend's house in the early 2000s, and he decided to show me this incredibly alluring title called Viewtiful Joe. Now, I was already captivated by the cover of this video game in its GameCube case. Cool-looking action hero in unnecessary tight leotard trying to save the damsel in distress who was abducted by a big bad of a movie they were watching. I have not touched the game since until this past week. I was overjoyed this got picked from the 7-year anniversary to relive moments from my childhood. Everything was as beautiful as I remember. The cel-shaded graphics, the memorable music, the interesting, unique enemies. What I didn't expect was the daunting gameplay. I forgot how difficult this game was to the point I struggled on the first level. As soon as I figured out the unique combat mechanics after many deaths and struggles, it seemed to flow between slow motion combos and speedrunning through a level, trying to scratch the itch to find every collectible. In the end, the music is incredible, the characters are lovely and hilariously insane, and probably one of the most different takes on a 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. I highly recommend this to any Capcom lover, and definitely a go for NGP status, baby.
It does feel Capcom, like very Capcom. New IP, but still somehow they had their brand on it. You know, the stamp was there.
I think even one of the bosses made fun of him for his bracelet and said, "What are you trying to be, Mega Man or something?" Like they did a call out. A Spot said, simply put, Viewtiful Joe might be the most fun I've ever had with a beat 'em up. From the get-go, every one of Joe's animations oozes personality, from his over-the-top dodge animation to the way he crouches dramatically before flinging himself into the air. The combat is punchy and satisfying to pull off, with tons of creativity in how the player wants to dispatch groups of baddies. There is also tons of room for mastery with the grading system, giving something for more hardcore players to strive for. The story may not be the deepest, but Hideaki Kamiya's tongue and cheeky humor kept me enjoying every moment with the game throughout this week. All in all, Viewtiful Joe gets my full endorsement, and I think anyone even tangentially interested in the genre should give it a try.
That's a V review. I'm going to stop saying W for wins. And I'm just going to start saying V's. That was a V.
I like it. And finally, from Cecil, the author of this game.
Oh,
okay, we're
at least
listening.
For NGP.
We're listening.
When I joined the New Game Plus community, this was my go-to game for submitting to Patreon pools. A cult classic of an older but not too distant console generation, with just enough going for it and against it to make for what I thought would be an interesting episode. Its presentation is immaculate, with timeless cell shading and an amazing soundtrack, and the gameplay can get super in-depth with the abilities you're presented with, which goes well with the irreverent story, starring a cast full of absolute characters, none of whom are taking this story seriously, except for the narrator and maybe the demon rival, who it turns out to be a bit of a weenie. That goofiness can be a bit much for some people, though, and the difficulty is a definite sticking point, with intricate stage puzzles and bosses that have very particular moments of vulnerability. There's absolutely no shame in playing on the lower difficulties. Thank you. Even on those, you're still going to be challenged by the boss patterns. And as others in the community have said, it's kind of like a puzzle game in a brawler style, but in the immortal words of the game itself, I encourage players to just go for it. Just go for it. I think
just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yummy.
I'm so glad that it got picked. It I'd be frustrated at this point if I submitted it that many times and we haven't played it yet.
Would you give it a hamburger out of 10?
Yeah, and I might have that for
pickups.
lunch.
Ooh,
Yeah.
hamburger.
In and out. Yeah, I'm doing it.
It will definitely increase your life.
Yep.
Thank you, Cecil, for your commentary. Thank you for submitting this game.
Yes,
and
thanks so much.
thank you for bringing Viewtiful Joe to the NGP community. However, we are setting aside Viewtiful Joe, and we are selecting the next retro game of the week, but we are not, weird, for episode 352. We are not randomly selecting from our retro master list, because it is time again for a director episode. This one featuring the tasty yogurt.
Tasty.
I'm pumped. This will be fun.
Randomizing now. Just kidding, didn't randomize, but the game that was selected as our second game of Season 8 was selected by the Tasty Yogurt. It is a 2005 action-adventure game for the PlayStation 2.
Great
Okay.
start. Great.
But also relatively recent, huh?
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
very recent.
Some might consider this to be an open world RPG. It was developed and published by Sega.
What are you? Oh, I don't know what you're gonna say.
And it went on to spawn an entire franchise of games.
Interesting. This was the first? Is what you're
This
saying?
was the very first.
Okay.
The game follows a gang member who spent 10 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. After being released, he learns that the criminal underworld is searching for 10 billion yen that's been stolen from the Tojo clan. And it goes from there. We are going to be playing for the next 7 days a game called Yakuza.
Okay, that's what I thought you were going to say. There was a recent one that just came out, I think, maybe a year or two ago.
I think this game, this series is continuing. Yeah, most recent was 2021, Lost Judgment.
I'm super down. A story game like in that world sounds sick.
And Yakuza Like a Dragon was 2020, and 2024 Like a Dragon 8 is already planned. Like, this has legs.
Yeah, definitely. If it's lasted that long, and it's also interesting when things start in the 2000s. Like, we play a lot of series that started way back in the 90s or before, but when it's 2005, that's the first one, I'm so ready to see what the vibe of that game is like.
This is one I'm definitely interested in. Play it along with us and the Tasty Yogurt, and send in your commentary so that we can include it as a part of our episode next week.
Look, you need to join Discord. You've heard us talk about it a lot, and if you listened to last episode, you heard from a lot of community members. They're still talking about it. They're having a lot of fun in there as we speak. We want you to be there. So go to discord.gg/newgameplus to get added to the server.
We want to say thanks to those of you who support us on patreon.com. It's just a way of going one step further of saying we love what you've done and want you to keep going. And so shout out to our many producer level supporters, including Adam, Alex, and Marley, and Antonin, Ben, Dan, DH Browser, Francesca, Gimbin, Jared, Joey, Jordan, J. Robert, Justin, Clint, Nicknack, Corey, Lawway86, Maxima, Mr. Latte, Sage, and Shauna, Subsonic Demon, Thomas, Unbedavable William, and Zion. Thanks to Jacob for joining us as a patron for the very first time. Thanks to our large and growing list of directors who mean we've got some fun director episodes coming up, as well as some of the ones we just had that were great, which include the following people: Brojim, Garlisle, Shane, The Tasty Yogurt, Super Hypered, Daniel, and now presenting for the very first time as a director level supporter of the show, Bruntk.
It's Brunt, our friend. We appreciate you. I would assume that your son has lent you some money to be able to support us at this level.
Oh, that's so nice of him. I think I know what game you're going to pick. We'll see.
Ooh, interesting. We love and appreciate all of you, and hopefully we still have a few by the time this episode airs, but at this point, we still have a few shirts left. We did a limited release of our brand new t-shirt design created by Epic Dom in our Discord community. And it's an incredible t-shirt design that features the three of us and calls out to a few of the games we played, episodes we've recorded in NGP history. I got mine, Nolan got his.
I'm coming down to the wire.
And
we'll see if I get one before everybody else does.
At the time of this recording, there are less than 10 shirts available. Ooh. So hopefully there's still a few left when you hear this. Get it now. You can follow us on our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, and YouTube. All of those links are in the show notes. Listen directly on any podcast provider of your choice. Make sure you subscribe so that you are the first to get new NGP episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a kind rating and review. Our video episode was edited by our friend Dylan. Our audio episode was edited and produced by our friend Dan Willett. Join us next week as we play Yakuza. Until then, I'm still Hulk Davidson.
I'm giving this game a big old V.
I'm Midnight. What was his name? The Midnight Nighthawk.
And this has been New Game Plus.